In the glittering underbelly of the cosmos, where neon lights pulsed like the heartbeat of forgotten stars, the Nebula Casino floated like a predatory jewel in the void. It was a place where fortunes were won and lost not just in credits, but in lives, dreams, and sometimes souls. Amid the cacophony of slot machines humming with alien tech, roulette wheels spinning under holographic illusions, and the low murmur of interstellar gamblers whispering secrets across felt tables, one figure stood out, not because she wanted to, but because she couldn't help it. Her name was Lyra, a radiant being from the distant kingdom of Lunara, where the skies shimmered with eternal auroras and the people glowed softly under the twin moon's gaze. Lyra's skin was a flawless porcelain white, almost translucent, catching the casino's lights in a way that made her seem like a living lantern. Her hair cascaded in waves of pure silver white, framing a face with delicate features, high cheekbones, full lips that curved into a perpetual, wistful smile, and ears that tapered into elegant points, like those of ancient earth elves from forgotten myths. She wore a skimpy outfit fashioned from soft, iridescent fur pelts, remnants of Lunaran beasts, clinging to her curvaceous form, accentuating the swell of her hips and the gentle curve of her waist. It was meant to allure, to draw in the patrons, but to Lyra, it felt like chains woven from her own despair. Lyra hadn't chosen this life. Her family, once noble in Lunara's crystalline courts, had fallen on hard times. Debts piled up from failed ventures in asteroid mining and interstellar trade, and in a desperate bid to save their crumbling estate, they had sold her. Sold her like a commodity to the ruthless owner of the Nebula Casino, a slimy, multi-tentacled being named Vorak, who saw her glow as the perfect gimmick to lure high rollers. "You'll light up the room, my dear," Vorak had hissed, his voice like oil slickening through vents. "And in return, your family's debts vanish." But Lyra knew the truth. She was a slave, her luminescence a curse that made her a spectacle, forced to dance on elevated platforms, her body emitting soft, ethereal light that shifted colors with her emotions, blue for sorrow, pink for fleeting joy, red for the anger she buried deep. Tonight, as the casino thrummed with energy, Lyra perched on her platform, her fur-clad form swaying to the rhythmic beats of synthesized music that echoed from hidden speakers. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices, synthetic smoke, and the metallic tang of desperation. Gamblers from a dozen worlds ogled her, hulking brutes with scales, elegant figures with antennae twitching in appreciation, and even a few humans, those resilient wanderers who had spread across the stars like weeds in a cosmic garden. Her glow pulsed faintly, a soft violet that betrayed her inner turmoil. How had it come to this, from the free winds of Lunara to this cage of lights and lies? Across the room, leaning against a pillar etched with glowing runes, stood Kai. He was a human security guard, one of the few Earth-born souls tough enough to handle the Nebula's rowdy crowd. Kai's frame was lean and muscled from years of bouncing troublemakers, broad shoulders under his fitted black uniform, dark hair cropped short, and eyes the color of stormy seas on old Earth. He had taken this job out of necessity. After his freighter crew disbanded in a botched heist gone wrong, he needed steady pay. But Kai wasn't just muscle. He had a sharp mind, honed by surviving the fringes of space, and a heart that still believed in doing right, even in a galaxy that rewarded the ruthless. Kai's gaze often wandered to Lyra during his shifts. At first, it was professional watching for threats, ensuring no patron got too handsy. But over weeks, it became something more. He noticed the way her glow dimmed when Vorak barked orders, how her pointed ears twitched in subtle distress, and the faint scars on her wrists from the energy cuffs she wore offstage. She wasn't here by choice. That much was clear. Humans like Kai had a knack for spotting injustice, a trait that made them legends in some alien tales. HFY, they called it back on Earth stations, humanity fuck yeah, the unyielding spirit that turned underdogs into heroes. As the night deepened, a particularly boisterous group of gamblers clustered around Lyra's platform. One, a burly Zendorian with tusks gleaming under the lights, reached up with a clawed hand, leering. "Come on, glow girl, give us a real show. Light up like you mean it." His companions laughed, tossing credits onto the stage like scraps to a pet. Lyra's glow flickered to a nervous green, her body tensing under the fur pelts. She danced on, but her eyes darted, seeking escape in the shadows. That's when the Zendorian lunged, grabbing her ankle. The crowd gasped, some cheering, others murmuring disapproval. Kai moved like lightning. In 3 strides, he was there, his hand clamping down on the Zendorian's wrist with a vice-like grip. "Hands off the talent, pal," Kai growled, his voice low but edged with steel. The alien snarled, but Kai twisted just enough to make him yelp and release. Security drones hovered nearby, but Kai waved them off. This was his turf. The Xandorian backed away, muttering curses, and the crowd dispersed, buzzing with excitement over the brief scuffle. Lyra, still on her platform, met Kai's eyes for the first time up close. Her glow shifted to a warm amber, illuminating his face in a soft halo. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice melodic, like wind chimes in a Lunaran breeze. Kai nodded, his heart skipping a beat at the sight of her, those pointed ears framing eyes that sparkled like distant nebulae, her curvaceous form barely contained by the fur outfit. "Just doing my job," he replied, but there was a spark in his eyes, a curiosity that went beyond duty. Little did he know that spark would ignite a firestorm. Vorak, watching from his elevated booth through one-way glass, narrowed his beady eyes. "That human, he's trouble," the casino boss muttered to his underlings. "Keep an eye on him and her." As Kai returned to his post, Lyra's glow lingered on him, a subtle beacon in the chaos. She felt something stir within her, a pull toward this Earth guard, this human who saw her not as a glowing oddity, but as someone worth protecting. In the vast, cold expanse of space, where debts bound souls tighter than gravity, perhaps salvation could come from the most unexpected place. But the night was young, and the Nebula Casino held secrets darker than black holes. Lyra's family debt wasn't just credits. It was tied to ancient Lunaran artifacts Vorak coveted, hidden relics that could shift the balance of power in the sector. If Kai got involved, he'd be diving headfirst into a web of intrigue, where loyalty was currency and love a dangerous gamble. Hours ticked by, the casino's artificial day cycling into simulated night. Lyra's shift ended, and she was ushered backstage by Vorak's enforcers, hulking androids with glowing red visors. In the dim dressing room, she shed her fur pelts, slipping into a simple robe that did little to hide her alluring figure. Her skin still hummed with residual light, casting shadows that danced like fireflies. A knock at the door startled her. "Who is it?" she called, her pointed ears perking up. "It's Kai, the guard from earlier," came the reply, his voice muffled but steady. "Just checking if you're okay." Lyra hesitated, then opened the door a crack. Kai stood there, his uniform slightly rumpled from the shift, a concerned furrow in his brow. "That guy was out of line. If anyone else bothers you." Before she could respond, an alarm blared through the casino. Red lights flashed, and Vorak's voice boomed over the intercom. "Intruder alert, all security to the vault." Kai's comm buzzed. "On my way," he said into it, but his eyes lingered on Lyra. "Stay here, lock the door." As he dashed off, Lyra felt a surge of worry. Her glow brightened involuntarily, illuminating the hallway. What if this was Vorak's doing? Rumors swirled that the boss staged incidents to test loyalties, and if Kai proved too heroic? In the vault, Kai arrived to find chaos, a masked figure tampering with the safe, credits spilling like digital rain. But as he tackled the intruder, unmasking a fellow guard in disguise, he realized it was a setup. Vorak's tentacle slithered from the shadows. "Well done, human. But why protect the glow girl so fiercely? She's mine." Kai's jaw tightened. "She's no one's property." Vorak laughed, a wet, gurgling sound. "Oh, but she is, and now so are you if you want to keep your job or your life." Back in her room, Lyra paced, her white hair swirling like a comet's tail. She couldn't just wait. Slipping out, she followed the alarms, her glow dimmed to avoid detection. Turning a corner, she overheard Vorak's threat to Kai. Her heart raced. This human, this Kai, had shown kindness in a place devoid of it. In Lunara, legends spoke of humans as saviors, their unyielding spirit turning tides in cosmic wars. Could he be her escape? Quietly she approached, her fur robe whispering against the floor. "Kai," she murmured, stepping into the light. Vorak whirled. "You, back to your quarters." But Lyra's glow flared brilliant gold, blinding the boss momentarily. Kai seized the moment, disarming an enforcer droid with a swift kick. "Run," he shouted to her. They bolted through the casino's labyrinthine corridors, alarms wailing like banshees. Patrons scattered, chips flying as security drones pursued. Lyra's pointed ears picked up the hum of pursuing bots, her curvaceous form moving with graceful agility honed from Lunaran dances. "Why help me?" she panted as they ducked into a maintenance shaft. Kai grinned, his eyes alight with adrenaline. "Because no one deserves to be sold like that. And there's something about you." Her glow softened to pink, warming the dim shaft. In that moment, amid the chase, a connection sparked, human resilience meeting alien allure. But Vorak's voice echoed through the vents. "You can't escape, human. The debt binds her, and now you." As they emerged into the docking bay, ships gleaming under emergency lights, Lyra grabbed Kai's hand. "There's a shuttle. I know the codes from overhearing Vorak." They boarded a sleek vessel, engines humming to life. Blasts from drones rocked the bay, but Kai manned the controls, weaving through debris with expert precision, skills from his freighter days. As the nebula shrank behind them, stars streaking past, Lyra turned to him. Her white skin glowed softly, illuminating the cockpit in an intimate light. "Thank you, Kai, but Vorak won't stop. My family's debt. It's tied to a Lunaran crystal I carry. He wants its power." Kai's hand brushed hers, sending a tingle through both. "Then we'll face him together. Humans don't back down." In the quiet of space, their eyes met, her pointed ears twitching with unspoken emotion. The glow from her body cast shadows that danced like lovers, hinting at depths yet unexplored. Yet, unknown to them, Vorak had activated a tracker. The chase was far from over, and the stars held more dangers and desires than they imagined. As the shuttle hurtled through the star-speckled void, leaving the Nebula Casino's glowing silhouette fading into a distant pinpoint, Lyra's hand lingered in Kai's, her fingers warm and pulsing with that soft, inner light that seemed to seep into his skin like a gentle current. The cockpit was a cocoon of dim instrumentation panels flickering with readouts, the hum of the engines, a low vibration that thrummed through their bodies, amplifying the unspoken tension between them. Kai glanced at her, his storm-gray eyes tracing the curve of her profile. The way her silver-white hair caught the faint glow from the console, cascading over her shoulders like moonlight on snow. Her robe, hastily donned in the escape, clung to her form, the fur trim brushing against her porcelain skin, which now shimmered with a subtle rose hue, betraying the mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through her. "We're clear for now," Kai murmured, his voice a rough whisper that cut through the quiet, but his grip on the controls tightened as a warning beep echoed from the nav system. A tracker, Vorak's insidious gift, no doubt. It blinked insistently on the screen, a red dot pulsing like a predator's eye in the dark. They weren't free yet. The casino boss's reach extended like tentacles through the black market networks of the sector. Kai punched in evasive maneuvers, the shuttle banking sharply, stars wheeling outside the viewport. Lyra gasped, her body pressing closer to his in the confined space, her curvaceous figure brushing against his arm, sending a jolt of awareness through him that had nothing to do with the danger. She turned to him, her pointed ears twitching slightly as if attuned to some distant frequency, her full lips parting in a way that made the air feel thicker, heavier. "Kai, that crystal. It's not just a relic. It's a key to Lunara's ancient power sources, hidden in our bloodlines. Vorak thinks he can harness it to control energy flows across the trade routes. If he catches us..." Her voice trailed off, but her glow intensified, casting intimate shadows across the cockpit, illuminating the swell of her chest beneath the robe, the way her breath quickened with each word. Kai's gaze dipped for a moment, drawn to the ethereal light dancing over her skin, before he forced himself to focus on the controls. But the proximity was intoxicating. The scent of her, like wild Lunaran flowers mixed with the faint ozone of her luminescence, filled the small space. "He won't," Kai said firmly, his human resolve kicking in, that unyielding spirit that had carried his kind from a single blue planet to the stars. "I've outrun worse. Back on the fringes, I dodged pirate fleets with nothing but a junker and sheer guts." He flashed her a grin, but it faltered as another alarm blared, proximity sensors detecting incoming drones, sleek and deadly, dispatched from Vorak's hidden outposts. The shuttle shuddered as Kai veered into an asteroid field, jagged rocks tumbling lazily in the vacuum, like ancient guardians. Lyra leaned forward, her hand sliding to his thigh for balance, the touch electric, her fingers lingering just a second too long. "I can help," she whispered, her voice husky with urgency. "My glow, it's not just pretty. I can channel it to disrupt electronics." Her eyes met his, those nebula-deep pools reflecting the stars outside, and in them, Kai saw not just gratitude, but a hunger, a raw, alien desire that mirrored the heat building in his own chest. As the first drone closed in, its lasers charging with an ominous whine audible through the hull, Lyra closed her eyes, her body arching slightly in concentration. Her skin brightened, the rose hue deepening to a sultry crimson, waves of light rippling outward like a sensual pulse. Kai watched, mesmerized, as the energy built, her fur-trimmed robe slipping slightly off one shoulder, exposing the smooth curve of her collarbone, the gentle rise and fall of her breath making her form seem alive with forbidden promise. The light surged from her, an invisible wave that crackled through the void, short-circuiting the drone's systems. It spun wildly, colliding with an asteroid in a silent bloom of debris. But more were coming, 3 now, weaving through the field like sharks scenting blood. Kai's hands flew over the controls, the shuttle twisting in a corkscrew maneuver that pressed Lyra against him, her body molding to his side, soft and yielding yet charged with that otherworldly energy. The contact sent sparks through him, his mind flashing to thoughts he shouldn't entertain, not now, not in the midst of this chase. Yet there it was, the way her white hair brushed his neck, the warmth of her thigh against his, the subtle vibration of her glow syncing with his pulse. "They're gaining," Kai grunted, sweat beading on his brow as he dodged a laser burst that grazed the shields, rocking them violently. Lyra's hand moved higher on his leg, not for support this time, but in a deliberate caress, her fingers tracing patterns that made his breath hitch. "Use me," she breathed, her voice a silken thread laced with desperation and something deeper, more primal. "Channel through me. Touch enhances the flow." Her pointed ears flushed with the same crimson as her skin, her curvaceous silhouette outlined in glowing allure against the dark cockpit. Kai hesitated only a heartbeat, his human curiosity and desire overriding caution. He placed his free hand on her bare shoulder, the skin impossibly smooth, warm like sun-kissed silk. The connection ignited, her glow surged into him, a rush of energy that heightened every sense, the scent of her intensifying, the feel of her under his palm sending waves of heat through his veins. It was erotic, this merging, her light pulsing in time with his heartbeat, her body leaning into his touch, a soft moan escaping her lips as she directed the power outward. The wave exploded from the shuttle, a radiant burst that enveloped the pursuing drones. Circuits fried in unison, the machines tumbling inert into the asteroids, shattering silently. The shuttle emerged from the field unscathed, engines straining but holding as Kai plotted a jump to hyperspace. In the aftermath, the cockpit fell into a charged silence, broken only by their ragged breaths. Lyra didn't pull away. Instead, she turned fully toward him, her robe disheveled, revealing more of her glowing form, the elegant taper of her waist, the inviting curve of her hips. Her eyes locked on his, the crimson fading to a passionate scarlet, inviting exploration. "That was intense," she murmured, her fingers trailing up his arm, leaving trails of tingling light. Kai's hand remained on her shoulder, sliding slowly down her back, drawing her closer in the narrow seat. "Yeah," he replied, his voice low, rough with the adrenaline and the undeniable pull between them. The hyperspace jump engaged, stars blurring into streaks, but in that moment the universe narrowed to just them, the human guard and the alien glow girl, bound by more than debt now. Her lips hovered near his, the air between them electric, her breath warm against his skin. As their mouths met in a tentative kiss, her glow enveloped them both, a cocoon of light that promised ecstasy amid the stars' endless night. But even as passion ignited, a faint ping from the console warned of lingering threats. Vorak's network was vast, and the crystal's power called to darker forces. The kiss deepened, her body pressing against his with urgent need, her fur robe falling away to reveal the full splendor of her luminous curves. Kai's hands explored, tracing the contours that had haunted his thoughts, her skin responding with bursts of color, passionate reds and golds that lit the cockpit like a private aurora. Time stretched in that hyperspace tunnel, their bodies entwining in the confined space, the erotic dance of escape evolving into something profound. Lyra's pointed ears quivered as she whispered alien endearments, her glow syncing with his rhythm, heightening every sensation to unbearable heights. Kai, the steadfast human, found himself lost in her scent, her touch, the way her energy flowed into him, making him feel invincible, desired beyond measure. Yet, suspense lingered like a shadow, the tracker might be jammed, but Vorak's allies prowled the hyperspace lanes. As they broke apart, gasping, Lyra's eyes held a mix of bliss and fear. "He'll come for us," she said softly, her hand cupping his face. Kai pulled her close again, his lips brushing her ear. "Let him try, I've got you now." The shuttle sailed on, but the real storm was brewing, not just in the void outside, but in the heated glances and unspoken promises that bound them tighter with every passing light year. As the shuttle emerged from hyperspace with a shuddering jolt, the stars snapping back into sharp focus like diamonds scattered across black velvet, Kai and Lyra disentangled slowly, their bodies still humming with the afterglow of their intimate fusion. The cockpit felt smaller now, charged with the residue of their passion, the air thick with the mingled sense of sweat and her floral essence, her skin's luminescence fading to a contented amber that bathed everything in a warm, post-storm haze. Kai adjusted the controls with one hand, the other still resting possessively on her thigh, tracing lazy circles over the smooth porcelain expanse. Lyra leaned back in her seat, her silver-white hair tousled, her pointed ears flushed with lingering heat, the fur robe draped haphazardly across her curvaceous form like a lover's careless embrace. She smiled at him, a secretive curve of her lips that promised more stolen moments amid the chaos, but the console's insistent chirp shattered the tranquility. An incoming hail from an unknown vessel, its signature cloaked in encryption that screamed trouble. "Who could that be?" Lyra whispered, her voice a melodic tremor, pulling the robe tighter as if to shield herself from the encroaching reality. Her glow flickered uncertainly, shifting to a wary blue, illuminating the worry etched in her delicate features. Kai's jaw set, his human instincts kicking into overdrive, that unyielding drive that had turned Earthlings into galactic legends, the kind of grit that laughed in the face of cosmic odds. Vorak's goons, probably, or worse. Stay low. He routed the hail to audio only, his fingers dancing over the panel with practiced efficiency, but before he could respond, the transmission crackled to life uninvited, a holographic projection flickering into existence above the dash. The image stabilized into a figure that made Lyra gasp, her hand flying to her mouth. A tall, ethereal being with skin like polished obsidian and eyes glowing with the same auroral fire as her own people. It was Aurel, her elder brother from Lunara, his pointed ears adorned with royal sigils, his white hair bound in intricate braids that spoke of courtly status. But there was no warmth in his gaze, instead, a cold calculation that sent chills racing down Kai's spine. "Lyra," Aurel intoned, his voice echoing with the resonant timbre of Lunaran nobility, "you've caused quite the stir. Vorak has alerted the family, the debt. It's not what you think." Lyra's glow surged to a brilliant indigo, a storm of emotions swirling across her skin in visible waves, her body tensing beside Kai's. "Aurel, how did you find us? And why? You were the one who signed the papers, sold me like chattel to that monster." Her words cracked with betrayal, her curvaceous frame leaning forward, the robe slipping again to reveal the elegant taper of her shoulder, but there was no sensuality in it now, only raw, dramatic fury that made the cockpit feel like a pressure cooker about to explode. Aurel's hologram flickered, perhaps from interference or his own unease, but he pressed on, his tone laced with a thrilling urgency that hinted at layers of intrigue. "It was to protect you, sister. The crystal you carry, it's not just a power source. It's the Heart of Lunara, a relic that binds our kingdom's fate. Vorak isn't after credits, he's after domination. Our family didn't fall into debt by accident. It was engineered by traitors within the court, allied with him to seize the throne." The revelation hung in the air like a detonator, curious and surprising in its scope, unraveling everything Lyra thought she knew. Kai's mind raced, piecing it together. This wasn't a simple escape. It was an interstellar conspiracy, with Lyra at its center, her glow not a mere gimmick but a beacon of ancient power. Before Lyra could respond, the shuttle lurched violently, a tractor beam locking on from Aurel's ship, hidden in the shadow of a nearby nebula. Alarms wailed, red lights bathing the cockpit in a blood-hued glow that matched the rising drama. "He's pulling us in," Kai shouted, slamming the thrusters to full, the engines roaring in protest as the vessel strained against the invisible grip. Lyra's hand clutched his arm, her nails digging in with surprising strength, her pointed ears flattening against her head like a cornered animal's. "Aurel, release us. If you're telling the truth, help us." The hologram wavered, Aurel's face twisting in what could be genuine conflict or a masterful act. "I can't, not yet. Vorak's forces are en route. Come aboard, we'll talk. The human, he can come too." But Kai wasn't buying it. His HFY spirit flared. Humans didn't trust pretty words, they trusted actions. With a grunt, he diverted power to the shields, modulating them to emit a feedback loop that disrupted the beam. Sparks flew from the console, the shuttle bucking like a wild beast, but the grip weakened. "Hold on," he yelled, and Lyra did, her body slamming against his as they broke free, the sudden release sending them spiraling toward the nebula's swirling gases. Thrilling chaos ensued. Aurel's ship gave chase, sleek and predatory, its weapons charging with an ominous hum that vibrated through the hull. Laser fire streaked past, grazing the shields in bursts of light that illuminated Lyra's terrified yet determined expression. "Why would he lie?" she cried, her voice breaking over the din, her glow pulsing erratically, casting erratic shadows that made the cockpit feel alive with phantoms. Kai dodged a volley, the shuttle weaving through the nebula's dense clouds, tendrils of ionized gas that played havoc with sensors, turning the pursuit into a deadly game of hide-and-seek. "Family betrayal cuts deep," he replied, his tone laced with the dramatic weight of experience. "But we'll find out. First, we survive this. As they plunged deeper into the nebula, the gases thickened, visibility dropping to near zero. Aurel's voice crackled over the comms again, pleading now, "Lyra, the crystal, activate it. It can shield us all." But curiosity gnawed at Kai. Was this a trap? Or a surprising ally? Lyra reached into a hidden pocket of her robe, pulling out the crystal. A fist-sized gem that hummed with inner light, syncing with her glow to amplify it tenfold. The cockpit flooded with radiance, her skin blazing like a star, the energy coiling around them protectively. But as she channeled it, a surge backfired, visions flashing in her mind, shared inadvertently with Kai through their lingering connection. In a thrilling rush, memories unfolded, Aurel in secret meetings with Vorak, not as victim but conspirator, plotting to use the crystal to overthrow Lunara's queen, their mother. The surprise hit like a supernova. Aurel wasn't saving her. He was the architect of the debt, selling her to Vorak as bait while he maneuvered for power. "No!" Lyra screamed, the crystal flaring wildly, its power lashing out in a dramatic arc that pierced the nebula, striking Aurel's ship. Explosions bloomed silently in the void, the vessel listing, venting atmosphere in glittering trails. Kai stabilized the shuttle, pulling them out of the clouds as Aurel's damaged craft retreated, his hologram dissolving in static with a final, venomous snarl, "You'll regret this, sister. The kingdom will burn without me." The climax of the chase left them breathless, the shuttle scarred but intact, drifting toward a neutral outpost on the nebula's edge. Lyra collapsed against Kai, tears streaking her luminous cheeks, her body trembling with the aftershocks of betrayal and power. "He was my brother. How could he?" Kai wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close, his human warmth at anchor in the storm. "Power corrupts, even in the stars, but you're not alone." Her glow softened, wrapping around them like a blanket, the curious threads of their bond weaving tighter amid the surprise of familial treachery. As they approached the outpost, a sprawling station teeming with smugglers and refugees, new questions arose. Who else knew of the crystal's true power? And with Vorak still hunting, how far would this web of deceit extend? The station loomed, its docking bays beckoning like open arms, but danger lurked in every shadow. Kai plotted their approach carefully, scanners sweeping for threats, while Lyra's hand found his again, her touch a thrilling reminder of their shared fire. "What now?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and resolve, her pointed ears perking toward the unknown. "We fight back," Kai said, his eyes gleaming with that indomitable human spark. Together. As they docked, the airlock hissing open to reveal the bustling underbelly of the outpost, aliens of every stripe bartering in dimly lit corridors. A cloaked figure watched from afar, their intentions shrouded in mystery. The real climax was just beginning, a thrilling tapestry of alliance and ambush waiting to unfold. But as they stepped into the station's chaotic embrace, a surprising transmission pinged their comms, not from Vorak or Aurel, but from an anonymous source claiming to be a Lunaran loyalist. "The crystal chooses its guardian," the message read, "and it has chosen the human." Lyra's eyes widened, her glow flaring in astonishment, as Kai felt a strange pull from the gem in her hand, a curious energy syncing with his own heartbeat, hinting at powers he never imagined. The outpost's neon signs flickered invitingly, promising refuge or ruin, and as they ventured deeper, hand in hand, the dramatic stakes rose higher, the thrilling unknown beckoning with surprising twists that could shatter empires or forge unbreakable bonds. As the outpost's airlock cycled with a hiss of equalizing pressure, releasing them into the thrumming heart of the station. A labyrinth of rusted corridors alive with the babel of 100 alien tongues bartering, bickering, and boasting. Kai and Lyra stepped out hand in hand, the crystal's mysterious message still echoing in their minds like a cosmic whisper. The gem pulsed faintly in her grasp, its inner light syncing with Kai's steady heartbeat in a way that felt both exhilarating and unnerving, as if the ancient artifact had woven an invisible thread between them, binding their fates tighter than any debt or betrayal ever could. The station, known as Drift Haven, was a neutral ground for the galaxy's misfits. Smugglers hawking black market tech, refugees nursing wounds from forgotten wars, and opportunists eyeing every newcomer like potential prey. Neon signs flickered in a riot of colors, advertising everything from synthetic booze to cybernetic enhancements, the air thick with the sizzle of street food vendors grilling exotic meats and the distant thrum of underground fights echoing from hidden arenas. Lyra's glow adapted to the dim lighting, dimming to a subtle golden sheen that made her porcelain skin seem almost ordinary. Almost, her silver-white hair swaying with each step, her pointed ears picking up snippets of conversation that made her flinch. "Did you hear about the Lunaran relic? Worth a fortune?" One gravelly voice muttered from a shadowed stall, sending a chill down her spine. Kai squeezed her hand reassuringly, his human presence a grounding force amid the chaos, that unyielding HFY resilience shining through as he scanned the crowd with sharp eyes, his free hand hovering near the concealed blaster at his hip. "Stick close," he murmured, his voice low and protective, but there was a new edge to it, a dramatic undercurrent born from the crystal's proclamation. Chosen, him, a simple Earth guard thrust into alien royalty's mess. It was absurd, thrilling, and just a touch terrifying. They wove through the press of bodies, tentacled merchants haggling over glowing orbs, feathered beings chattering in high-pitched trills, heading toward a dimly lit cantina that promised discretion and information. But as they turned a corner, drama escalated in an instant. A squad of Vorak's enforcers, those hulking androids with red-visored stares, materialized from the crowd, their metallic frames glinting under the neon. Target acquired, one droned, weapons humming to life. Kai yanked Lyra behind a stack of cargo crates, his body shielding hers instinctively, heart pounding as lasers scorched the air where they'd stood moments before. "Run!" He barked, but Lyra, fueled by the crystal's energy, flared her glow in a blinding flash, disorienting the droids long enough for them to bolt down a side alley. The chase intensified the drama tenfold, their footsteps echoing off the grated floors as alarms wailed station-wide. Vorak must have put a bounty out, turning every shady character into a potential hunter. Kai led the way, ducking through a marketplace where vendors shouted in outrage as stalls toppled in their wake. "This way!" he yelled, pulling Lyra into a narrow service tunnel, the walls humming with exposed wiring that sparked dangerously close to her luminous skin. But in the heat of the pursuit, an awkward situation unfolded. The tunnel narrowed abruptly, forcing them to squeeze through a maintenance hatch barely wide enough for one. Kai went first, his broad shoulders scraping the sides, and Lyra followed, her curvaceous form pressing against him in the confined space, her chest brushing his back, her hips aligning in a way that sent an unintended flush to both their faces. Sorry," Kai muttered, his voice a mix of urgency and embarrassment, trying to focus on the exit ahead while acutely aware of every soft curve molding against him. Lyra's glow betrayed her, shifting to a flustered pink that lit the tunnel like a romantic lantern, her pointed ears burning hot. "It's fine," she stammered, but a small, involuntary giggle escaped her lips at the absurdity, the galaxy's fate hanging in the balance, and here they were, stuck like teenagers in a closet. Humans and their narrow escapes, she teased lightly, adding a dash of humor to cut the tension, her melodic voice echoing softly. Kai chuckled despite himself, the sound rumbling through his chest and into her. "Hey, at least it's not a trash compactor. Old Earth movies got that right, awkward squeezes build character." They emerged into a storage bay, breathless and laughing quietly, the momentary levity a balm against the rising drama. But humor faded as the enforcers' footsteps clanged closer, their scanners whirring like hungry insects. Kai spotted a hovercart laden with crates and shoved Lyra onto it, jumping aboard just as the droids burst in. "Hold on." He kicked the accelerator, the cart lurching forward with a comical whine, weaving erratically through the bay as lasers zipped past. One crate toppled, spilling glowing fungi that exploded into colorful spores, temporarily blinding a pursuer in a puff of neon dust, awkward for the droid, hilarious for them as it flailed like a drunk dancer. The cart careened into the cantina proper, crashing through swinging doors amid shouts of surprise from patrons. A motley crew of aliens who scattered like pins in a bowling alley. Tables overturned, drinks spilled in frothy cascades, and Kai steered wildly, Lyra clinging to him, her white hair whipping like a banner. "This is not discreet," she yelled over the din, but her eyes sparkled with a mix of fear and exhilaration, her glow pulsing in rhythmic bursts that matched the chaos. Kai grinned, swerving around a burly patron who roared in indignation. "Discreet is overrated. Besides, nothing says low profile like a high-speed produce chase." Drama heightened as Vorak's voice boomed over the station's speakers, hijacked somehow. "The Lunaran and her human pet surrender the crystal or Drift Haven burns." Patrons froze, eyes turning predatory, bounties turned neutrals into enemies. Kai ditched the cart behind the bar, pulling Lyra into a back room where a shady informant, a squid-like alien with twitching suckers, huddled over a holographic map. "You two are hot property," the informant gurgled, eyeing them with greedy curiosity. "Vorak's offering a king's ransom, but for double I'll get you off station." Lyra's hand tightened on the crystal, its warmth spreading through her, amplifying her glow to a defiant gold that lit the room like a challenge. "We don't negotiate with traitors," she said, but awkwardness crept in as the informant leered at her disheveled robe, one sucker extending curiously. "Pretty light show. Does it do tricks?" Kai stepped forward protectively, his stance all human bravado. "Touch her, and you'll be calamari." The threat landed with humor-laced menace, the informant recoiling with a wet chuckle. Feisty human, fine, triple the price. Negotiations turned dramatic as blaster fire echoed from the cantina, enforcers closing in. Kai bartered fiercely, trading a salvaged drone part from their shuttle for passage on a smuggling freighter, but the informant demanded a demonstration of the crystal's power first. Lyra hesitated, her pointed ears drooping slightly in discomfort, but Kai nodded encouragingly. "Show him just enough." She channeled a spark, the gem flaring to project a holographic illusion of wealth, fooling the squid into compliance. Impressive, it admitted, but as they sealed the deal, an awkward twist. The freighter's captain was a former flame of Kai's, a fiery-haired human woman named Jax, who burst in with a smirk. "Kai, still picking up strays, I see." Lyra's glow shifted to a jealous green, her curvaceous form straightening as she eyed the newcomer, the air thickening with unspoken tension. Kai rubbed his neck, caught in the awkward crossfire. "Jax, timing as impeccable as ever. This is Lyra, she's not a stray, she's important." Jax laughed, a bold, humorous bark. "Important, huh? Glows like a party favor. Hope she's worth the heat you're dragging." Lyra bristled, her pointed ears twitching, but humor diffused the moment as Jax clapped Kai on the back. "Kidding, glow girl. Any enemy of Vorak's is a friend. Let's blow this joint." They dashed to the freighter amid escalating drama, enforcers breaching the cantina, lasers carving through doors in sizzling arcs. Kai covered their retreat, blasting back with precise shots that disabled rather than killed, his HFY ethics shining through. Lyra amplified his efforts, her glow weaving protective barriers that shimmered like auroras, deflecting blasts in dramatic displays of light. Jax piloted the freighter out, engines roaring as station defenses, now alerted to the bounty, opened fire. The ship rocked, shields flaring, but they punched through, hyperspace enveloping them in a swirl of stars. Aboard the freighter, awkward situations piled on. Cramped quarters forced Kai and Lyra to share a bunk, their bodies brushing in the narrow space, her glow casting intimate shadows that heightened the unresolved tension from earlier. Jax's teasing didn't help. "So, how'd you two meet? Casino romance? Classic." Kai groaned, facepalming as Lyra blushed, her skin turning a rosy hue. "It's not like that. Well, not entirely." Laughter echoed, lightening the drama, but beneath it simmered the crystal's pull, drawing Kai deeper into Lunaran mysteries. As they plotted course for Lunara itself, to confront the court and expose Aurel's treachery, the freighter's scanners picked up a fleet on their tail, Vorak's armada closing fast. Drama peaked as Jax cursed. "They're jamming hyperspace exits. Brace for impact." Alarms blared, the ship shuddering under incoming fire, forcing them into evasive maneuvers that threw Kai and Lyra together again, her curvaceous form against his in a tangle of limbs and laughter-tinged panic. "If we survive this," Kai quipped, "remind me to take up a safer job like asteroid mining." Lyra's eyes sparkled with humor and affection. "With you, human, nothing's safe." The freighter dove toward a wormhole anomaly, a risky shortcut that could shave days or disintegrate them. As they plunged in, the drama swirled like the vortex itself, awkward alliances forging in fire, humor the spark that kept despair at bay. Vorak's flagship loomed in the rear sensors, tentacles of pursuit reaching out, but Kai's hand found Lyra's, the crystal humming between them, a beacon of hope amid the storm. The wormhole swallowed them, reality warping in thrilling distortions, spitting them out closer to Lunara, but with systems fried. Alarms wailed comically as non-essential functions failed, lights flickering, gravity fluctuating, sending them floating in zero-G awkwardness. Kai bumped into Lyra midair, their bodies entwining in a weightless dance that blended drama with unintended intimacy. "Well, this is new," he laughed, pulling her close to steady them both. Jax's voice crackled over the intercom. "Romantic, ain't it? Fix the grav or we're pancakes on arrival." They worked together, Lyra's glow illuminating panels as Kai rewired, their proximity fueling sparks literal and figurative. Drama loomed with Lunara's coordinates locked in, but for now, humor and heart carried them forward, the human guard and his alien beacon against a galaxy's wrath. as the freighter tumbled lazily through the stabilizing void post-wormhole, its gravity generators sputtering back to life with erratic flickers that sent Kai and Lyra drifting in a slow, weightless ballet. The awkward intimacy of their zero-G entanglement evolved into something far more charged. The air between them thick with unspoken desires, amplified by the adrenaline of their narrow escape. Kai's arms encircled her waist instinctively to steady them both, his fingers splaying across the small of her back where her robe had ridden up, feeling the warm, luminous skin that responded to his touch with a subtle shimmer, like sunlight dancing on water. Lyra's curvaceous form pressed fully against him now, her silver-white hair floating in ethereal strands that brushed his face, her pointed ears grazing his cheek as she laughed softly, the sound a melodic ripple that eased the tension but ignited a deeper fire. The crystal, tucked safely in a pocket of her disheveled fur-trimmed garment, hummed faintly, its energy weaving through them, heightening every sensation to a level that felt almost otherworldly, as if the ancient relic were blessing their union amid the stars. Jax's voice crackled over the intercom again, laced with her signature sarcasm, but this time it felt like an intrusion into their private cosmos. Grav's coming back online in a minute, lovebirds. Try not to float into any bulkheads. Kai reached for the comm panel, fumbling in the low light, his body still aligned with Lyra's in a way that made every movement a caress, her hips nestled against his, the gentle curve of her chest rising and falling in sync with his breath. Copy that, Jax? We'll manage. He muted the line, his hand returning to Lyra's side, tracing the elegant line of her hip with a tenderness that belied the urgency building within him. The freighter's systems whirred softly, gravity beginning to reassert itself in gentle pulls, but in that suspended moment, time seemed to stretch, allowing their gazes to lock in a shared understanding that needed no words. Lyra's glow deepened to a sultry amber, casting a warm halo around them that made the cramped cabin feel like a hidden sanctuary, her porcelain skin flushing with the same inviting warmth that had drawn him in from the start. She tilted her head, her full lips parting slightly as she whispered, "Kai, after everything, the chases, the betrayals, I need this, I need you." Her voice was a velvet invitation, laced with the vulnerability of her Lunaran heritage and the raw passion sparked by their trials. Kai's heart raced, his human spirit that indomitable HFY essence, responding not just with desire, but with a profound protectiveness, seeing in her not just an alien beauty, but a partner who had illuminated his path through the darkness. He pulled her closer as gravity's tendrils tugged them downward, their bodies aligning perfectly in the descent, his hands exploring the soft contours of her back, feeling the subtle vibrations of her glow syncing with his pulse. They sank onto the narrow bunk together, the freighters hum a distant lullaby as Lyra's robe fell away like a shed cocoon, revealing the graceful swells and valleys of her form, her white skin aglow with an inner light that painted the cabin in soft, intimate hues. Kai's uniform followed, discarded in a tangle of fabric that floated briefly before settling, his strong frame enveloping hers with a gentleness that contrasted his rugged exterior. Their lips met again, this time with a deeper hunger, her pointed ears quivering under his fingertips as he traced them lightly, eliciting a soft sigh that sent shivers through him. The connection was electric, her glow intensifying where their skin touched, creating ripples of warmth that spread like gentle waves, heightening every brush, every whisper of contact to a symphony of sensation. Lyra arched into him, her curvaceous silhouette molding seamlessly to his, her silver hair fanning out like a halo on the pillow as she guided his hands to explore the luminous expanse of her body, the gentle rise of her hips, the inviting curve of her waist, each touch met with a responsive shimmer that made the air hum with energy. Kai responded in kind, his movements deliberate and reverent, drawing out soft murmurs from her that echoed the passion building between them. It was a dance of discovery, her alien allure blending with his earthly strength in a harmony that felt destined, the crystal's subtle pulse amplifying their bond, making every caress feel like a shared heartbeat across the cosmos. She wrapped her legs around him, pulling him nearer, their bodies intertwining in a rhythm that was both tender and fervent, her glow enveloping them in a cocoon of light that blurred the lines between where one ended and the other began. The intimacy deepened, waves of pleasure cresting like stars igniting in the void, her skin's luminescence shifting through shades of passion, deep crimsons and golds that bathed them in a private aurora. Kai's breath mingled with hers, his hands roaming with a mix of confidence and awe, feeling the unique texture of her pointed ears twitch under his palm, her full lips capturing his in kisses that grew more urgent, more consuming. Lyra's responses were instinctive, her curvaceous form moving with a grace honed from Lunaran rituals, yet infused with the raw emotion of their shared ordeals, each moment building to peaks of ecstasy that left them gasping, connected on levels beyond the physical. The freighter's subtle vibrations added to the symphony, as if the ship itself were celebrating their union, the stars outside the viewport streaking by in silent witness. In the quiet aftermath, as their breaths slowed and gravity fully restored itself with a soft thunk, Lyra nestled against Kai's chest, her glow settling to a contented lavender that draped over them like a blanket. Her fingers traced lazy patterns on his skin, eliciting faint sparks of light where they touched, a reminder of the extraordinary bond they shared. "That was, beyond words," she murmured, her voice husky with fulfillment, her pointed ears relaxing against his shoulder. Kai held her close, his arm draped protectively over her waist, feeling the steady rise and fall of her breathing sync with his own. "Yeah," he agreed softly, a smile tugging at his lips despite the lingering threats outside. Humans have a saying, out of this world, fits perfectly. But even in this serene interlude, the drama of their journey simmered beneath the surface. The crystals hum a constant undercurrent, Vorak's armada potentially regrouping, and Lunara's court awaiting their arrival with unknown perils. Jax's voice interrupted gently over the intercom, this time with a knowing chuckle. "Systems nominal. You too decent. We've got incoming chatter from Lunaran space, loyalists reaching out." Kai glanced at Lyra, their eyes meeting in a shared resolve, the intimacy they'd just shared fortifying them against whatever came next. She nodded, her glow brightening with determination, and together they rose, redressing in the cabin's dim light, bodies still attuned to each other's warmth. As they made their way to the bridge, hand in hand, the freighter's scanners lit up with new signals, encrypted messages from Lunaran resistance fighters, offering safe passage to the kingdom's hidden enclaves. But amid the coordinates and codes, a warning flashed. Aurel had survived the Nebula skirmish and was rallying forces, his betrayal now an open wound threatening to engulf Lunara in civil war. Kai squeezed Lyra's hand, his human tenacity shining through. "We've got this. After what we've been through." He trailed off, the memory of their closeness bringing a flush to his cheeks, matched by her subtle pink glow. Lyra leaned in, pressing a quick kiss to his jaw, her curvaceous form brushing his side in a way that stirred fresh embers. "Together, yes." The bridge doors hissed open, Jax turning with a raised eyebrow but saying nothing, her smirk speaking volumes, as they plotted their final approach to Lunara. The planet's twin moons rising on the viewscreen like watchful guardians. The intimacy of their bond lingered, a secret strength fueling their resolve. Vorak's flagship appeared on long-range scans, closing the gap, but with the crystal's power and their unbreakable connection, the stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine alliances across the stars. Yet, as the freighter accelerated toward destiny, a subtle awkwardness crept in during a quiet moment on the bridge, Lyra's glow accidentally flaring when Jax teased about shipboard romances, causing Kai to stammer a deflection, his ears turning red. Lyra laughed, diffusing it with her melodic charm, but the undercurrent of their shared secret added a layer of endearing vulnerability to their heroic facade. Lunara loomed larger, its auroral skies calling them home, but the path ahead promised more twists, more passions, and the unyielding spirit of a human and his luminous love against the galaxy's shadows. As Lunara's auroral skies bloomed on the viewscreen in a mesmerizing swirl of greens and purples, like veils of cosmic silk draping the planet's twin moons, the freighter's bridge hummed with a tense anticipation that wove seamlessly through the lingering warmth of Kai and Lyra's shared glances, their fingers brushing occasionally as they stood side by side. The crystal's subtle pulse a constant reminder of the bond that had deepened in the quiet confines of their cabin. Jax leaned over the controls, her fiery hair catching the holographic light as she fine-tuned their approach, muttering under her breath about royal welcomes and plasma fireworks. The planet below shimmered with crystalline spires piercing the clouds, the kingdom of Lunara, a jewel of ancient elegance amid the stars, but the scanners painted a grim picture. Vorak's armada fanned out in a blockade formation, their ship's sleek predators glinting with weapon arrays, while flickers of civil unrest dotted the surface, energy signatures of skirmishes that hinted at Aurel's rallying forces clashing with loyalists. Kai's hand rested on Lyra's shoulder, his touch a steady anchor, feeling the faint tremor in her luminous skin as memories of betrayal resurfaced, her pointed ears drooping slightly under the weight of what lay ahead. "We're not charging in blind," he said, his voice carrying that resolute human timbre that had carried them through chases and intimate storms alike. "Jax, hail those loyalist channels. Let's see if that anonymous tip pans out." Jax nodded, her fingers dancing across the console, but as the transmission connected, static crackled before resolving into a holographic figure, a regal Lunaran woman with silver hair braided in warrior knots, her glow a steady emerald that bespoke authority. "This is Captain Lyra of the Queen's Guard," she intoned, her eyes narrowing at the sight of them. "State your intentions, outsiders. The skies are no place for fugitives." Lyra stepped forward, her curvaceous form outlined in the hologram's light, her robe adjusted modestly but still clinging to the elegant curves that had become so familiar to Kai. "Captain, it's me, Lyra, daughter of the Queen. We've come with the Heart of Lunara to expose Aurel's treachery." The captain's expression softened, but suspicion lingered. "Princess, we've heard rumors of your sail and the human?" Her gaze shifted to Kai, appraising him with a mix of curiosity and wariness. Kai met it steadily, his HFY spirit unflinching. "I'm with her. The crystal chose me, whatever that means." Ilara's eyes widened fractionally. "The heart chooses, then descend to these coordinates. But hurry, Vorak's fleet advances, and Aurel's rebels control the outer defenses." The freighter dove into Lunara's atmosphere, engines straining against gravitational pulls and sporadic anti-air fire from rebel outposts, the hull vibrating as they skimmed through auroral storms that painted the viewport in dazzling displays. Lyra's glow synced with the skies, her skin shimmering in harmony, as if the planet itself welcomed her home. Kai watched her, marveling at the way her white hair caught the colors, her pointed ears attuned to the winds whispering through the vents. "It's beautiful," he murmured, pulling her close for a moment, their bodies fitting together with the ease born of shared trials. She smiled, leaning into him. "Wait until you see the crystal palaces, if we make it." They touched down in a secluded glade ringed by towering spires that hummed with latent energy, the air crisp with the scent of Lunaran blooms, sweet and electric, like ozone after rain. Queen's Guard loyalists awaited, armored in iridescent plates that mirrored Lyra's glow, their pointed ears adorned with sigils of loyalty. Ilara greeted them in person, her emerald aura steady, as she led them through hidden passages into the underbelly of the royal citadel, where echoes of distant battles reverberated like thunder. "The Queen awaits in the Chamber of Echoes," Ilara explained, her voice echoing off crystal walls that amplified every word. "But beware, Aurel has spies everywhere, and Vorak. His alliance with your brother runs deeper than you know." As they descended deeper, the drama built like a gathering storm. Alarms wailed suddenly, red lights pulsing through the corridors as rebel forces breached the outer wards. "Intruders!" Ilara shouted, drawing her energy blade, a shimmering weapon that hummed with power. Kai unholstered his blaster, falling into step beside Lyra, who clutched the crystal tightly, its light flaring in response to the threat. The group raced through twisting tunnels, lasers crisscrossing the air in deadly arcs, the loyalists returning fire with bursts of auroral energy that lit the shadows like fireworks. Kai covered their flank, his shots precise and humanly efficient, disabling attackers with calculated precision, while Lyra channeled the crystal to erect shimmering barriers that deflected blasts, her glow intensifying to a protective blaze. In the midst of the skirmish, they burst into the Chamber of Echoes, a vast hall where crystal facets reflected infinite versions of themselves, the Queen's throne at the center, elevated on a dais of pulsing light. But as they approached, the powerful twist unfurled in a surge of surprise that shattered expectations. The Queen, Lyra's mother, rose from her throne not in regal poise, but with a malevolent gleam in her eyes, her glow a corrupted crimson that clashed with the chamber's purity. Aurel stood beside her, not as adversary but ally, his face twisted in triumph. "Welcome home, daughter," the Queen sneered, her voice amplified by the echoes into a chorus of deceit. "And you've brought the heart and its chosen guardian right to us." Lyra froze, her hand tightening on Kai's arm, her luminous skin paling to a shocked white as the revelation hit like a supernova. "Mother, you're behind this." The Queen laughed, a sound that reverberated through the crystals, distorting into mocking whispers. "The debt was a ruse, child. Vorak is my consort, has been for years. Aurel and I orchestrated your sail to draw out the heart's true power, hidden in your bloodline. But the crystal chose a human, how delightfully unexpected." Ilara and the guards turned, their weapons now trained on Kai and Lyra, traitors all, the loyalists a facade to lure them in. Kai's mind reeled, the surprise twisting like a knife. the anonymous messages, the safe passage, all bait. Vorak's armada wasn't attacking. It was converging to consolidate power. You sold your own daughter for this. Kai growled, his HFY fury igniting, pulling Lyra behind him as he raised his blaster. The queen's eyes narrowed. Sacrifices for the throne. Lunara stagnates under old ways. With the heart, we'll conquer the sector, Vorak's tech fused with our light. Aurel stepped forward, his glow mirroring his mother's corruption. And you, human, are the key. The crystal bonded to you, your unyielding spirit amplifies it. Surrender or watch her fade. The chamber erupted in chaos, the twist fueling a thrilling betrayal that heightened every stake. Guards advanced, energy blades humming, while Kai and Lyra backed toward a reflective wall. Lyra's glow surged in anguish, the crystal responding with a violent pulse that shattered nearby facets, sending shards flying like deadly confetti. "How could you?" she cried, tears streaking her face, her curvaceous form trembling with rage and heartbreak. Kai fired, his shots ricocheting off shields, but he spotted a flaw, a control panel for the chamber's amplifiers. "Lyra, channel through me like before." He grabbed her hand, their bond igniting anew, her energy flowing into him in a rush that made his veins hum with power. The surprise deepened as the crystal revealed its own secrets. Visions flooded their minds, ancient Lunaran lore unfolding. The heart wasn't just a relic, it was a sentient force, choosing guardians to prevent corruption. It had selected Kai not by accident, but because his human lineage traced back to a long-lost Lunaran explorer who crash-landed on Earth millennia ago, infusing early humans with subtle glow traits that manifested as resilience. Kai wasn't fully human, he was a hybrid descendant, the crystal's true heir. The revelation hit him like lightning, his body suddenly aglow with a faint aura that mirrored Lyra's, amplifying their combined power to a blinding crescendo. Guards faltered, shields cracking under the onslaught as Kai and Lyra unleashed a wave of light that swept the chamber, disabling weapons and shattering illusions. The queen recoiled, her crimson glow flickering in fear. "Impossible!" Aurel lunged, but Kai met him head-on, enhanced strength from the crystal allowing him to disarm his foe with a swift, empowered strike. The twist propelled them forward. With the guards neutralized, Vorak's transmission burst in, his tentacled form holographic and furious. The armada descends, surrender the heart, but Kai, empowered and surprised by his heritage, stood tall beside Lyra, their glows merging into a unified brilliance. "Not today," he declared, the chamber's echoes amplifying his voice into a heroic roar. They activated the crystal fully, sending a signal that rallied true loyalists across Lunara, hidden forces rising against the corrupt regime. Battles ignited planet-wide, the skies alight with clashing ships as Vorak's fleet engaged rebel turncoats now loyal to the Heart's call. In the chamber's aftermath, Lyra turned to Kai, her eyes wide with the surprise of his revealed lineage. "You're one of us?" He nodded, pulling her into an embrace, their shared glow a beacon of unity. "Explains a lot why I always felt out of place on Earth." The twist had redefined everything. No longer just a guard, Kai was a bridge between worlds, his HFY spirit the key to Lunara's salvation. As reinforcements arrived, true guards storming in to secure the Queen and Aurel, the planet's fate hung in balance, Vorak's flagship bearing down. But with the crystal's power awakened in Kai, the surprise had shifted the tides, forging a path to victory amid the Aurel storms. Lyra's hand in his, they faced the viewport, ready for the final confrontation, their bond unbreakable, the galaxy's secrets unraveling in surprising layers that promised more revelations yet. The Armada's shadows loomed, but Kai's newfound glow pulsed with confidence. "Let's end this." Together, they stepped toward the command nexus, the twist propelling them into legend, a human-alien hybrid and his luminous love, rewriting Lunara's destiny. As the command nexus doors earized open with a crystalline chime that resonated through the chamber like a call to destiny, Kai and Lyra strode in side by side, their merged glow casting elongated shadows across the polished floors, etched with ancient Lunaran runes, the air thick with the electric tang of impending confrontation that built upon the shocking revelations of Kai's hybrid heritage. The nexus was a nerve center of the Citadel, a domed room where holographic displays swirled with tactical data, showing Vorak's armada descending like a swarm of metallic locusts, their ships blotting out the Aurel skies in a dramatic display of overwhelming force. True loyalists, now rallied by the crystal's signal, manned the consoles, their pointed ears twitching with focused intensity, but the atmosphere crackled with urgency. every beep and alert heightening the drama as reports flooded in. Rebel strongholds falling, skies ablaze with dogfights, and Aurel's captured form being dragged to the holding cells, his corrupted glow dimmed but his eyes still burning with defiant rage. Lyra's hand remained clasped in Kai's, her curvaceous silhouette a beacon of resilience beside him, her silver-white hair catching the hologram's light in a way that made her seem like a living extension of the Nexus itself. But as they approached the central podium, an elevated platform where the crystal could interface with Lunara's planetary defenses, an awkward hitch disrupted the flow. Kai, still adjusting to his newfound luminescence, tripped over a loose conduit cable snaking across the floor, his enhanced strength sending him stumbling forward in a comical lurch that nearly toppled a nearby console. Loyalists gasped, one dropping a data pad with a clatter, and Lyra caught his arm just in time, her glow flaring in a mix of concern and amusement. "Careful, chosen one," she teased softly, her pointed ears perking with a hint of humor that cut through the tension like a ray of light. "The galaxy's fate rests on your feet, not just your heart." Kai righted himself, rubbing his neck with a sheepish grin, his cheeks flushing under the subtle aura now emanating from his skin, a faint echo of Lyra's that made him feel both empowered and ridiculously out of place, like a Earth mechanic suddenly thrust into a fairy tale. "Yeah, well, humans aren't built for glowing. Slippery floors weren't in the hero manual." The Loyalists chuckled nervously, the brief levity a welcome spark amid the escalating drama, but it underscored the awkward reality. Kai, the hybrid savior, was still very much a novice in this alien world, his unpolished humanity clashing with lunar grace in endearing, humorous ways that only strengthened their admiration for his HFY spirit. The moment passed as Alara, now revealed as a true ally after the twist, her earlier betrayal, a deep cover ploy to infiltrate the Queen's Circle, rushed forward with urgent updates. The Armada's breaching atmosphere. Vorak demands parley, claims he has leverage. Her emerald glow pulsed with dramatic intensity, her voice echoing the chamber's amplifiers. Kai and Lyra exchanged a glance, their bond thrumming through the crystal like a shared heartbeat, but before they could respond, Vorak's hologram materialized above the podium, his multi-tentacled form writhing in triumphant menace, his beady eyes fixing on them with slimy satisfaction. "Ah, the runaway glow girl and her pet human," he hissed, his voice a gurgling sneer that amplified the drama, tentacles gesturing toward orbital feeds showing his ships bombarding rebel outposts in fiery explosions. "Surrender the heart, or watch Lunara crumble. Your queen and brother sing like caged birds, alliances shift but power endures." Lyra's grip tightened on Kai's hand, her luminous skin flaring to a fierce scarlet, the betrayal of her family cutting deeper now that Vorak flaunted it like a trophy. "You twisted everything, my home, my blood, for what? Greed." Her voice cracked with raw emotion, her curvaceous form straightening in defiance, but Vorak laughed, a wet echoing sound that sent chills through the Nexus. "Not greed, child, evolution. With the heart fused to my tech, I'll reshape the sector. And your human, an amusing bonus, his hybrid blood will stabilize the merge." The revelation heightened the drama exponentially. Vorak hadn't just allied with the Queen, he'd engineered the corruption, using forbidden experiments to twist lunar in essence with his mechanical horrors, turning Aurel and the Queen into unwitting puppets long before the debt scheme. Kai stepped forward, his glow intensifying instinctively, syncing with Lyra's in a dazzling display that made the holograms flicker. "You talk big for a squid in a tin can, but humans, we don't fold." His words carried that unyielding HFY edge, inspiring the Loyalists to cheer. But awkwardness crept in as the crystal, responding to his surge, overloaded a nearby console in a shower of sparks, causing a holographic map to glitch comically, ships appearing to dance erratically across the display. Oops," Kai muttered, fumbling to recalibrate, his ears burning as Loyalists stifled laughs. Lyra covered her mouth, her eyes twinkling despite the stakes. "My hero, master of light and technical difficulties." The humor diffused the tension momentarily, humanizing Kai in a way that rallied the room, turning potential doubt into affectionate solidarity. But drama surged back as Vorak's leverage unveiled itself. A secondary hologram bloomed, showing a captured shuttle, Jax's freighter, ensnared in a tractor beam, her fiery-haired form visible on the bridge struggling against boarding droids. "Your pilot friend," Vorak gloated. "A feisty one. Surrender or she joins the void." Jax's voice crackled through, defiant but strained. "Don't do it, Kai, blow these squids too," the feed cut, heightening the emotional stakes. Kai's face paling as guilt twisted his gut, Jax, his old flame and ally, now a pawn in this interstellar chess game. Lyra's glow softened to a supportive blue, her hand on his arm. "We'll save her, together." But the awkwardness amplified. Kai, the chosen hybrid, felt the weight of his inexperience, his human emotions clashing with the crystal's demands, creating a vulnerable moment that made his heroism all the more relatable. Seizing the podium, Kai interfaced the crystal with the nexus, his hybrid aura stabilizing the connection in a burst of light that illuminated the room like a dawn. Planetary defenses activated, auroral shields rippling across the skies, energy cannons humming to life from hidden spires. "Launch countermeasures," he commanded, the loyalists springing into action, but humor peeked through as the crystal's power surged through him, causing his voice to echo unnaturally deep and booming, like a bad impression of a space opera villain. "Whoa, that's new," he quipped, clearing his throat as Lyra giggled softly, the light moment grounding them amid the chaos. Vorak's armada pressed the attack, ships diving through the atmosphere in dramatic formations, lasers carving fiery trails that shook the citadel. The nexus trembled, shards of crystal raining from the ceiling as impacts landed nearby. Kai and Lyra coordinated the defense, her lunar and intuition guiding the crystal's flows while his human tactics directed fire, shields holding against barrages, counterstrikes lancing out to cripple enemy vessels in explosions that lit the auroras like fireworks. But drama peaked as Aurel escaped from his cell in the confusion, burst into the nexus with a cotter of rebels, his corrupted glow a sickly red. "You think a half-breed can claim our legacy?" he snarled, lunging at Kai with an energy blade. The fight erupted in close quarters, heightening the personal drama. Kai parried with an improvised shield from the crystal's power, his hybrid strength matching Aurel's, but awkwardness ensued as the clash sent them tumbling over consoles, Kai accidentally activating a non-lethal stun field that zapped a rebel mid-charge, causing the attacker to flop comically like a fish out of water. "Not the button I meant." Kai yelled, dodging a swing, but the mishap bought time, loyalists piling on with humorous efficiency, one guard quipping, "Humans, turning battles into slapstick since forever." Lyra joined the fray, her glow weaving bindings of light around rebels, her curvaceous form moving with graceful lethality, but she slipped on a shard, landing in Kai's arms mid-duel, a awkward, romantic save that had Aurel pausing in disbelief. "This is our kingdom's savior?" A clown and his glowing paramour. Kai used the distraction, channeling the crystal to disarm Aurel with a precise burst, the blade clattering away as the traitor collapsed, defeated but alive. "Family reunions, am I right?" Kai panted, helping Lyra up, their eyes meeting in a mix of relief and affection, her glow warming to pink amid the humor. The nexus stabilized, defenses pushing back Vorak's fleet, but the boss himself beamed down in a dramatic teleport, tentacles writhing, his form a grotesque fusion of flesh and machine, eyes fixed on the crystal. "You've meddled enough, human," Vorak gurgled, advancing with mechanical limbs whirring. Drama intensified as he unleashed a barrage of energy whips, lashing at Kai and Lyra, the chamber cracking under the assault. Kai shielded her, his hybrid aura absorbing hits in painful bursts, but awkward humor struck when a whip snagged his boot, yanking him off balance into a pile of debris. "Not again," he groaned, scrambling up as Lyra blasted back with light tendrils, her pointed ears flattening in determination. "Stay down, squid," she shouted, the insult drawing chuckles from loyalists even as they fired support. Vorak pressed, his tentacles coiling around the podium, attempting to seize the crystal, but Kai lunged, enhanced strength allowing him to wrestle a limb away in a grotesque tug-of-war. "This is ridiculous," Kai grunted, the scene absurdly humorous, like arm wrestling an octopus on steroids. But the stakes were deadly, Vorak's free tentacles slashing wildly. Lyra amplified Kai's power, their bond surging, allowing him to sever the limb with a crystal-infused punch, Vorak howling in rage. The boss retreated, beaming out with a vow. "This isn't over, the sector will kneel." As the armada fragmented under sustained fire, retreating in disarray, the nexus erupted in cheers, but drama lingered with Jax's shuttle freed, her voice crackling over comms. "Owed you one, but next time, warn a girl about family drama." Kai and Lyra shared a laugh, lightening the exhaustion, her head on his shoulder as they watched the skies clear. Awkwardness returned as a loyalist approached hesitantly. "Chosen one? Your glow is, flickering like a faulty bulb." Kai glanced down, his aura sputtering comically, and shrugged. "Human upgrade bugs included." With Lunara secured, the Queen and Aurel imprisoned for trial, the planet's auroras shone brighter, a symbol of renewal. Kai and Lyra stood on a balcony overlooking the spires, her curvaceous form leaning into him, their glows intertwined. "What now, my hybrid hero?" she asked, humor in her eyes. Kai grinned. "Rebuild and maybe a vacation, no squids allowed." They kissed under the moons, drama resolving into hope, awkward moments forging unbreakable bonds, humor the thread that wove their story into legend. Yet, as peace settled, a faint signal pinged from the crystal, a distant call from Earth, hinting at more hybrids awakening. The adventure continued, but for now, in each other's arms, they savored the victory. As Vorak's retreating shadows clawed at the edges of Lunara's aural veil, the Citadel's command nexus buzzed with a renewed frenzy that carried the echoes of their hard-won skirmish, the air still humming with the acrid scent of discharged energy and the faint, lingering warmth of Kai and Lyra's intertwined glows, a testament to the unbreakable bond that had carried them through betrayal, passion, and the surprising twists of fate. Kai stood at the central podium, his hybrid aura steady now, no longer flickering like a faulty light, but pulsing with controlled power, as loyalists relayed updates from the front lines. Rebel holdouts surrendering en masse, the Queen's corrupted influence unraveling like frayed threads under the crystal's purifying light, and Aurel, bound in energy cuffs, finally silent in his defeat, his eyes downcast as the weight of his actions settled upon him. Lyra remained by Kai's side, her curvaceous form a pillar of grace amid the chaos, her silver-white hair cascading in waves that caught the Nexus's holographic gleams, her pointed ears attuned to the symphony of victory unfolding across the planet. But peace was not yet sealed. Vorak's flagship, a colossal behemoth of twisted metal and biomechanical horrors, lingered at the orbital fringe, its weapons charging for a final, desperate assault that promised to eclipse the auroras in destructive brilliance. "He's not done," Kai murmured, his hand finding Lyra's waist, drawing her closer in a gesture that blended protectiveness with the intimate familiarity they had forged in quieter moments. Her glow responded, wrapping around them in a soft embrace, her porcelain skin shimmering with a mix of resolve and the subtle heat of their shared memories. "Then we end it," she replied, her voice a melodic steel, leaning into him as the Nexus's amplifiers broadcast Vorak's ultimatum once more. "The heart or annihilation? Your choice, hybrid." The loyalists tensed, but Kai's HFY spirit ignited like a flare, that unyielding human tenacity that had turned the tide time and again, now amplified by his lunar heritage into something legendary. "Patch me through," he commanded, and as the hologram linked, Vorak's tentacled visage filled the display, his beady eyes narrowing in surprise at Kai's composed demeanor. "You dare defy me still? A Earth mongrel playing at royalty." Kai's glow flared brighter, syncing perfectly with Lyra's, the crystal at the podium humming in resonance. "Mongrel, maybe, but humans built empires from scraps. And with her," he glanced at Lyra, his eyes softening for a heartbeat, "we build futures." The words carried a dramatic weight, inspiring the room, but Vorak snarled, unleashing his armada's remnants in a suicidal dive toward the Citadel. Alarms blared, the Nexus shaking as impacts rattled the spires, but Kai and Lyra moved as one, channeling the crystal's full might through the planetary grid, a network of ancient amplifiers that turned Lunara's auroras into a weaponized shield. Energy surged from the ground up, weaving through the skies in radiant arcs that intercepted Vorak's ships, disabling engines and shattering hulls in spectacular bursts of light. The flagship bore down, tentacles extending like grasping voids, but Kai directed a focused beam, his hybrid control precise and unerring, slicing through defenses with surgical fury. Lyra amplified it, her glow merging with his in a dazzling fusion that lit the Nexus like a newborn star, her body pressing against his side in the intensity of the moment, their connection turning power into poetry. Vorak's hologram flickered with panic as his ship buckled, systems failing in cascades of sparks and alarms. You'll regret this. The sector will?" But his words cut off as the beam pierced the core, the flagship erupting in a silent, blooming explosion that scattered debris across the auroras like confetti from a cosmic celebration. The Armada's remnants scattered, leaderless and broken, fleeing into the void as Lunara's defenses mopped up the stragglers. Cheers erupted in the Nexus, loyalists embracing in joyous relief, but Kai and Lyra stood quietly amid the tumult, their hands intertwined, the crystal's hum fading to a contented purr as the planet's skies cleared, revealing the twin moons in pristine glory. With the threat vanquished, the transition to rebuilding began swiftly, the drama of battle giving way to the quieter rhythms of restoration. The queen, her corruption purged by the crystal's light in a ceremonial rite overseen by elder Lunaran sages, abdicated in shame, her once regal glow dimmed to a humble flicker as she retreated to exile in the outer colonies, a poignant end to her reign of deceit. Aurel, stripped of his titles, faced trial not as a villain to be executed, but as a brother to be redeemed. Lyra's insistence, her compassionate heart prevailing, assigning him to community labors where his skills could mend the wounds he had inflicted, a dramatic act of mercy that underscored the kingdom's shift toward healing. Kai, the unlikely hybrid hero, found himself at the center of it all, his Earth roots blending seamlessly with Lunaran traditions in ways that brought awkward, humorous adjustments to the forefront. During the coronation ceremony, where Lyra was elevated to regent, her role as guardian of the heart formalized, Kai stood beside her on the grand balcony overlooking the crystal spires, dressed in a hybrid attire of Lunaran silks and his old security jacket, the mix drawing chuckles from the assembled crowd. "You look regal," Lyra whispered, her eyes twinkling as she adjusted his collar, her curvaceous form resplendent in flowing robes that accentuated her elegant curves, her pointed ears adorned with jewels that caught the auroral light. Kai grinned, pulling her close for a quick kiss that elicited cheers and a few scandalized gasps from the onlookers. "And you look like trouble, the best kind." The moment was light, humorous, a balm after the storms, but it carried the depth of their journey, his hand on her waist a silent promise of forever. As days turned to weeks, Lunara flourished under their joint guidance. Alliances forged with neighboring systems, Vorak's dismantled empire-yielding tech that bolstered defenses without corruption, and Earth envoys arriving in response to the crystal's distant call, revealing more hybrids like Kai, awakening to their heritage and bridging worlds in unexpected ways. Jax, freed and feisty as ever, docked her freighter for a celebratory visit, clapping Kai on the back with a wink. "From casino bouncer to space prince, you've upgraded, kid, but don't go all glowy on me. Still need that human sarcasm." Kai laughed, the humor easing any lingering awkwardness from their shared past, while Lyra welcomed her with open arms, the three sharing stories under the moons, the night alive with laughter and the soft hum of auroras. In quieter moments, Kai and Lyra retreated to the royal gardens, where bioluminescent blooms mirrored her glow, their bodies entwining under the stars in passionate reaffirmations of their bond. Gentle explorations that blended human warmth with Lunaran light, each touch a celebration of survival and love. "I never imagined this," Kai confessed one evening, his fingers tracing the taper of her pointed ear, eliciting a soft sigh from her as she nestled against him, her white skin shimmering in response. "A guard falling for a glowing princess? Sounds like a bad holo novel." Lyra smiled, her full lips curving in amusement, her curvaceous form molding to his. "But it's our story, messy, surprising, perfect." The kingdom thrived, civil wars scars healing under policies that honored both Lunaran tradition and human innovation, education exchanges with Earth, hybrid sanctuaries for those awakening to their dual natures, and a new era of peace where debts were forgiven, not weaponized. Kai, ever the reluctant royal, injected humor into courtly affairs, cracking jokes during diplomatic summits that disarmed tense negotiations, his awkward glow mishaps becoming endearing tales retold around hearths. Lyra balanced him with her grace, their partnership a symbol of unity, their love a beacon that inspired ballads sung under the auroras. Years passed in a blur of prosperity, but the crystal's call never fully quieted, hinting at greater adventures, distant sectors where similar relics awaited guardians, whispers of other hybrids scattered across the stars. Yet for Kai and Lyra, the true ending lay not in endless quests, but in the simple joys, walks through glowing gardens, shared laughs over cultural mishaps, and nights where their bodies and lights intertwined in harmonious bliss. One fateful evening, as they stood on the balcony where it all began, watching a comet streak across the sky, Kai turned to her. Ready for whatever comes next? Lyra's glow enveloped them, her eyes sparkling with love and mischief. "With you, always." And so, in the vast tapestry of the cosmos, where humans and aliens wove their fates together, Kai and Lyra's story became legend. A tale of a debt that sparked a love eternal, a hybrid heart that saved a kingdom, and the unyielding spirit that proved, once and for all, that even in the stars, humanity's light could shine brightest when kindled by another's glow. The auroras danced on, eternal witnesses to their happily ever after, a good ending written not in stone, but in the luminous threads of destiny. As the auroras of Lunara danced eternally, Kai and Lyra's legacy endured, their love a beacon that united worlds, proving that even in the vast cosmos, a single spark of humanity could illuminate the darkest voids. What do you think? Could a human like Kai change your galaxy? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are our greatest motivation to create even better stories. See you next time.